What's up, everybody? DFS Dudes here to give you guys my GPP core plays for Wednesday, the 30th of January. 8 games on the docket tonight in the association. This month has absolutely flown by. We're already a month through 2019. Crazy to think about it, but we've got a nice little DFS slate tonight to get into for a Wednesday. Plenty of news is broken already on guys that are out. This is definitely a slate full of landmines that we got to sidestep. And what happens is when news breaks this early and this often, there's a lot of chalky spots tonight. We can get into that. You've got Rozier is obviously going to be a very popular play at a very fair price starting for Kyrie Irving. You've got the whole injury situation with New Orleans. Basically, the same exact guys that were out yesterday are going to be out again today. So we have a preview of kind of how that rotation looked with guys like Frank Jackson, Tim Frazier, Drew Holiday, Okafor, Solomon Hill, and those guys. So plenty of value in that one. The matchup not as sweet, though, going against a Denver team that's much better defensively than Houston is this year. Waiting on Derrick Rose news. And then, there's the real juicy matchup of Atlanta and Sacramento tonight in the late slot. So without further ado, we'll hop right into the core plays. Before we do that, please, if you have not done so already, click that subscribe button below. That way you don't miss any of the content we produce on a daily basis, including NBA, NFL, and MLB content. And if you don't mind, click that like button. That helps us out a ton. We really appreciate that. Quick second, click that like button and move on and watch the video. So let's get into it. The first place I'm going to stop at is going to be in the Atlanta-Sacramento game, and I'm going to go really quick. I'm just going to lock in De'Aaron Fox here. Here's my deal with Fox. I think everybody's going to be on Rozier, and there's plenty of value at the point guard position. I talked about guys like Frank Jackson. You could even look at Tim Frazier. If you want to go, we'll talk about the New York situation in a minute, but I talked about him last night on our preview video. If you haven't watched that, go check out our shoot-around video, which previews the entire slate. I talked about Dedmon. You've also got Summon. You've got a lot of guys at minimum value of point guard, plus Frazier, who's filling in for the injured Kyrie Irving tonight, and we already know what he does. So De'Aaron Fox at 7.8, and it allows us to do all of those things. We can load Frazier up and pair him with Frazier, or we can go down and get some exposure to the guys at minimum value that we just mentioned. He's the first piece I'll load up. Piece number 2, going to the shooting guard. I'm going to go to this Dallas-New York game. I'm going to go and load up Doncic here for a couple of reasons. There's enough value on the slate that I can play Doncic and Drew Holiday together. Reason number 2, Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday, based off putting up the 55 fantasy points he put up last night, I think he becomes extremely popular again today because of how many spots there are actually to pay up for. Only 9 guys on the slate are above $9,000. So you can definitely pair Doncic and Drew Holiday. I've done that in a lot of my builds already. And as I continue to build out the rest of my lineups, I'll still pair them with other guys that I like Andrew Wiggins, Buddy Hield, etc. But I'll also pair them together. So I'm going to go with Doncic. Pivot off Drew Holiday, $200 more expensive. I think people will like Holiday, and for tournaments, I like the guy playing in Madison Square Garden. Look, it's a pay-up spot. It's 9.8. It's Doncic. Who's really comfortable with that? But here's the deal. 61.4, 58.6, 49.2 in 3 of his last 4 games. And then he's got 3 games that are kind of upper 30s. So Doncic's playing at a high level. I love when guys go to Madison Square Garden. It's a big stage. I like playing guys who have ability at Madison Square Garden. So we're going to go with Doncic in that spot and kind of pivot off the popularity of Holiday and hope to get a Doncic maybe have a little better game. And we're kind of going with the fact that if we roll him alone, we think that Drew Holiday may get a little bit mixed up with that Denver defense and maybe not quite live up to value. So we're banking big on Doncic. I like the pivot off of it. I like him in tournaments. I think he'll be lower owned. Let's go to small forward. We're going to get another point guard here. And what I mean by that is we're going to get a guy who's positioned at small forward, but he's really playing the point guard position, and that's Will Barton. He should start a point guard for them tonight, handle the basketball without Jamal Murray on the floor. I like him a ton. My only concern here is that he does draw Drew Holiday's defense. We saw last night what Drew Holiday did against James Harden. His free throws were down. James Harden had a great night fantasy-wise. He got a lot of that in the fourth quarter. I think he had 42 or 43 fantasy points going into the fourth quarter. Drew Holiday blocked 6 shots last night. So, there's 18 of his 54 fantasy points. We can't expect him to block that many shots every single night and fill up the stat sheet in that way. We're going to need a little bit more scoring from the 19 points he got last night in order to hit 55, 56, or 60 fantasy points tonight. Denver's a little bit better defensively. I just worry about the defense of Holiday on Will Barton, but I think that this is going to be a popular enough play that, if he goes out, we only need him to get us 36, 38 fantasy points to reach tournament value. That'll give us a 6x figure, and he should have the opportunity to do that tonight. So that's going to be our small forward. We're going to stay in the same spot for our power forward spot, and I'm going to load up Paul Millsap and lock him in. And the reason I'm going with Millsap is 5,000 is really cheap price. And you take a look to the right here, and we see Holiday, Okafor, right? We know those are going to be kind of the point guard center combination here. And then you've got 3 wing players in Miller, Solomon Hill, and Frank Jackson. The same reason I liked Fareed last night, and probably the industry liked Fareed, is because of the fact that, one, New Orleans has struggled against power forwards for the last 2 years. They just have, even with Anthony Davis playing. And number 2, Fareed was, he's a high energy player, and he was going to match up against Okafor. Okafor, really good player on a really good run. I think he's fine tonight too. But who's going to guard Paul Millsap? Jokic and Okafor should play each other, and that's how that'll go. But then you start going down the checklist here, and who is going to defend Paul Millsap out of this starting group? Nobody. So if Jokic and Okafor are able to kind of tie each other up, boxing out and scraggling and stuff like that, Paul Millsap could have a really nice opportunity to get offensive rebounds, putbacks, defensive rebounds, and then he spaces the floor really well for Jokic as well and can knock down threes. So at 5,000, I think it's a really good tournament shot where I think a lot of people in the industry will load up Marcus Morris at kind of the same price point. So I think it's a really good deal on Paul Millsap, a really good play for tournaments. We're going to go right back to the Dallas-New York game to finish out our core, and I'm going to load up DeAndre Jordan. And the reason I'm loading up DeAndre Jordan is, 1, it's a gut play, and 2, it's a gut play based off where I think ownership is going to go. If you take a look at pricing, you've got 7.4 for DeAndre Jordan and 7.4 for Jahlil Okafor. Okafor, he's going to be popular tonight in one way or another for the simple fact the guy keeps performing. He does keep performing. I won't get into the litany of who he's played against, but he keeps performing. And if you're a game log watcher, you're going to see the guy still putting up numbers. He's very fair price on this slate. I was really up in the air with this because the guy that I also really like in this spot is Alex Len. I think Alex Len, if you want to kind of use 2 cores today, and I'm giving you 2 centers, which one will be Jordan, one will be Alex Len. I think Alex Len's in a really good spot. He's getting limited minutes, but he's producing almost a double-double in those minutes. And he should see opportunities without a Willie Cauley-Stein on the floor. So going against a Harry Giles and things of that nature. So Jordan's a guy I like. Again, gut play, Madison Square Garden, pivot price-wise off a guy I think is going to be popular in Jahlil Okafor and allows us to build lineups kind of the same way. So that's my core for the night for tournaments. If you want to see what we're doing in cash, go over to the RotoBeast channel. Check out our cash game core. If you want to play the lineups we're playing every single day, go to DFSCheatSheet.com, sign up for a VIP membership, and you can get the exact same lineups we're playing every single night on FanDuel and DraftKings. I'll be back tomorrow, guys. I appreciate the views. Until then, keep it cashing. Peace out.